Hi, I'm Cheryl Hudson.
And I'm Wade Hudson, and we are founders of Just Us Books, a leading publisher of Black interest and multicultural books for children and young adults.
Welcome to Just Us and, a new series of interviews where we engage with those important people who have created books for children, as well as those who manage to get those books into the hands of our readers. Today, we're chatting with our good friend, Sharon Draper, who's a best-selling author, award-winning author of books for children and young adults. And she's also a master educator. Sharon, we met in the early days of the 1990s, and we published 3 books that you wrote in the Ziggy and Black Dinosaurs series. Can you tell us about the first book that you wrote?
I actually wrote 2 books at once, and because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about writing or publishing or producing or anything. And I had nobody to follow. There was nothing to read about it. So I just kind of figured it out. And Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs, I think, came out at the exact same time as Tears of a Tiger, which was the first book. This is the original Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs, illustrated by James Ransom. These are very rare. There's not too many of them around. So I've put this up in a special place, but this was the original Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs. So I'm this unknown author, and I go to a bookstore. I didn't even know what to do in a bookstore, how to sign a book, where you sign your name. I knew nothing. And they said, "Who are you, this lady with 2 books?" And I don't know, So it happened very, very suddenly. And I learned as I was doing, because I had no idea what to do.
So what did you do? You sent manuscripts out to publishers in the beginning? What was the process of, like, even getting manuscript read, which is a difficult challenge for aspiring writers?
What I did was I went to a book that listed every single publisher in the world, and I just went through and I circled books, and I sent my draft of Tears of a Tiger to 25 publishers. I got 24 rejections and 1 yes. And that was Simon & Schuster. Okay. So, and I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that I had written something that was real important to my heart, and somebody was going to publish it. I didn't even know what the publishing process meant. I knew nothing. And somewhere along that path, we met. And because I had also written this book for younger children, because I had 4 small children at home. And so I had written this second book. And so Ziggy, I don't even remember how Ziggy ended up in your hands. Well, but I'm so glad that it did.
It was sort of, we were new publishers. Didn't
you have an agent?
Well, you didn't have an agent. You have an
agent,
then,
right?
But for Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs, I remember our kids
Janelle Argerman,
didn't she? Yes. I was with Janelle, but I'm not sure if Janelle sent it to you.
Okay. I think it came through independently, because I know that we had our kids working at the office with us. Our son Stefan was a little bit of a reluctant reader, and we were looking for more manuscripts to publish. And we sat him down and said, if you look through this pile and see if there's anything that you would be interested in. And he would seldom get past the first page, but Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs was a book that he picked. So that's what we decided. Okay. If he can read it, if he's interested in it, it's going to be for that age group. Right.
Now, there was so much that we didn't know back then. Yeah. We didn't know. I didn't know. I knew nothing about the industry. I knew nothing how things were supposed to work. I didn't know any of the rules. I'm just kind of coasting out there, and I said, I've got this story and my kids love it, and I think somebody else will too. So it was really a blessing that what happened when it happened. And
So you actually built your writing career based on the two books that unsolicited manuscripts, which is that's
It's a rarity.
incredible. It's
Yes,
rare.
a
It's
rarity.
rare.
yes,
rare.
it's not,
doesn't
it's not
happen
even
today.
done anymore.
No, that's
Right.
not happening anymore.
Right.
No, no.
No. So yes, I did not know I was building a writing career. I just knew I had some stories that somebody else would like.
Mhm.
And I believed in myself, and not too many people believed in me at the time. The teachers I was working with, kind of brushed it off. My family, mom wrote a book, that's nice. It was really going out there on untested waters. And so I'm just so grateful
Well,
for
what
you
kept
guys.
you going when you had all that negativity around you? What really kept you motivated and inspired to keep on pushing?
Uh, you know what? I knew what I had written was good
Good. Yeah.
because I was a reader.
Mm-hmm.
And I had read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. I was that girl that went to the library every single week and checked out 10 books. And so I knew good stories. I knew what I liked to read. And it just occurred to me that I could write these as well. I mean, I was an English major. I ought to be able to write. I teach writing, so I should be able to do it. So really, I did this blindly and by faith without having any idea about what I was doing or how I was supposed to do it.
You know, I like the way you've described yourself. You describe yourself as a creator, a visionary, and a poet who approaches the world with the eyes of an artist, the ears of a musician, and the soul of a writer. I mean, that's just such a powerful statement. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
It sounds real good, doesn't it? Well, I played the piano from the time I was a little girl. From the time I was maybe 7 or 8, I took piano lessons. So I had a lot of music in my mind. And my home was filled with music. My mother was a singer and she sang all the time. So there was a musical backdrop to my memories. And I can't draw. I have no drawing ability. If you give me a pen and an easel, just it's a waste of money. But I liked art and I liked looking at it. And somehow the art and the music and the writing comes together at some point. And we all realize that this is the essence of artistry is a combined thing. You can't just write. You have to include the music, and you have to include the poetry, and you have to include the words, and you have to include the visualizations in order to be a good writer. None of this I knew. This just evolved gradually. You know, I wish I could say I knew all of this at the beginning. I did not.
Well, you
I really
knew it intuitively, having taught reading and having
Yes.
asked questions and being a teacher. So you're really talking about having an inner vision that you were able to get pen to paper and to convey that vision, because you certainly did it in Ziggy and the Black Dinosaurs and in Tears of a Tiger and Forged by Fire. All those are wonderful books that you can get an immediate image of what's happening, and dialogue as well.
And when you're writing, do you use music as a backdrop while you're writing?
Music is real important to me, but I can't write with music.
Yeah.
I have to have total silence.
Okay.
But I need music around me when I'm not writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I listen to all kinds of music. Since we've been during the shutdown, I've been going for a walk every day. So I put in my earbuds and I put on my favorite songs and something with a good rhythm to it. I walk, I don't run. But
Slowly.
Yeah, yeah.
But music is an important layer to good writing
Mm-hmm.
because good writing is musical at its heart.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
hear, you can hear the story. So how do you decide what you're going to write about? You've written about young adults, you've written about middle readers. Tell us how you decide what subjects you will write about.
It's I don't know. It's hard. That's a hard question. Um, an idea will come to me. Like I need to write. I want to write a story about a girl who can do this or who can't do this. I want to write a story about. The stories just kind of evolve slowly. And as I'm working on something now, and so I'm thinking about the process more because I'm starting something fresh, and I just kind of sit down and I've got a very, very rough draft sketch in my head, nothing written down, just in my head. But the words just come, and that is the gift. And I think I tell people all the time that being able to write is a gift. I can't cook, I can't swim, but writing comes easy to me, and it is a gift. And so I take the gift and I put it to paper.
So that's part of the process. So you don't use an outline, you don't use the beginning, the middle, the end, the arc, the climax. Do you do a character? Some people use a vision board to get their characters in mind, or you just start
No,
writing that first
no.
chapter.
But when I talk to students in schools, I tell them the purpose of planning and the vision board and making sure they know where they're going to go because they're just beginning.
Right.
You know, like I said, I can't swim. So somebody has to put me in the baby pool and take me and teach me how to blow bubbles in the water. They've tried many times. I've failed. but 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 writing, when I'm teaching writing, I tell them the steps because I know what the steps should be. But writing for me, like I said, is a gift, and it comes out kind of like a flow.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an idea. I'm gonna a character about this age who's gonna probably have these maybe these kind of problems, but I never know what's gonna happen until I get there.
So your characters sort of emerge as you write, or do you know them when you really sit down to write a story?
They emerge as I write, which I really shouldn't tell people because like really they just emerge. They just come out. They develop into real people in me. And there's an awful lot. It's not just saying I sit down and okay and arbitrarily come up with a story. There's an awful lot of writing and rewriting and revising and backing up and erasing and starting over. But yes, it just kind of comes from the inside and flows out. Like if I were writing music, you know, I would just write the notes or I would create the song. I wouldn't do research first on what a sad song should sound like. I would be sad and my song would be sad
Mm-hmm.
because it would express how I felt. So writing is kind of like that for me.
Okay, okay. I sort of like what you said about writing being a gift. When we have an opportunity to talk to kids, we let them know that we all are born with gifts. And it's our responsibility and the responsibility of our parents and our teachers to help us identify those gifts so we can work on them and nurture them and develop them. So I think that's such an important point, and I agree with you. I think writing is a gift, but it has to be developed and worked. So here you are in the classroom. You won, a lot of recognition for your work in the classroom, including National Teacher of the Year. So was this writer bubbling up inside of you during all this period of time that you were in the classroom?
Um, I think that writer was living with me and learning
Okay.
uh, just through experience. I didn't know that she was in there, and I didn't know. I knew I could write.
Mhm.
I knew I could teach writing. I knew in my gut what good writing was. And oh, that goes also back to the reading. You can't be a good writer unless you are a good reader. And, you know, all those books I read in the library when I was a little girl, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, every single book in the elementary side of the library I read. And that gave me the background information that I needed to be able to produce words because I had read so many words. I don't think you can be a writer unless you've been a reader first.
Mm. So you talk a little bit about that process. You talked about your characters. So what are you working on now, or can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on now, the next book?
Yeah, and it's kind of exciting. And the reason I can answer these questions is because I'm doing it now. And so I started on something a couple of weeks ago, and it's amazing me because it's good. And it's like, wow, you know, and it's just, you know, and the characters are emerging and the storyline is emerging, and I'm doing it the way I did before, which is kind of by the seat of my pants, but I have in the back of my mind an arc that it's going to follow, but it's a very, very blurry arc. I don't know for sure what will happen to this poor child until I'm finished with it.
Is this a young adult or middle reader?
I think it's going to be middle grades. I think it's going to be middle grades. Yes, I think middle grades is my happy place now. YA is, those kids are too grown up for me. They're too advanced for me. I can't write what their expectations. So I like middle grades. I'm also thinking about doing a picture book because I've got a 3-year-old granddaughter and I need to write a book for her.
That's wonderful.
Okay. Well, Sharon, you are a 5-time winner of the Coretta Scott King Award, New York Times best-selling author many times, and you also are the winner of the Margaret A. Edwards Award for Lifetime Literary Achievement. And you have been to the White House 6 times. Can you share with us what the most memorable experience that you've had during this wonderful, illustrious career as a writer?
The White House was cool, but that's not, you know, that's where somebody lives, you know, and, you know, it was a big honor and that was really cool. But I think the thing that keeps me going is I get hundreds and hundreds of letters from young people who say, I read your book. I used to hate reading, but now I like reading. Can you recommend another author? I read your book. It was just like my life. And when I read your book, I cried because I was that character. I read your book and it gave me the decision or the courage to do something or to go someplace or to tell somebody a secret that I should have told a long time ago. So I think my biggest reward truly is the response that I get from young people. I'm touching the lives of young people, sometimes profoundly, and that makes me cry. I mean, that really, really makes me proud and happy that what I have written has helped or touched somebody else. And I've received lots and lots and lots of those kinds of responses. So that's my.
You do a lot of school visits, right? And speaking to kids and reading to kids at school visits.
Oh yes, I miss school visits. I hope we'll be able to do that in some variation in the future. I do miss interacting with young people. I really do.
Okay, we're about at the end of the interview, and we would like to do our lightning round. So we're going to ask you some questions, and you'll probably get some quick answers. We want people to get an opportunity to know Sharon Draper, the person. Okay.
Okay.
What is the favorite book that you have written?
I don't have one because that's like saying, who's my favorite child? The youngest. Don't tell anybody.
Okay, well, what about the favorite book of another author?
Of another author? I am Toni Morrison.
Okay.
Toni
Good.
Morrison. I got her her collected works shortly after she passed away, and I'm just blown away by the power and the vigor of her speech and her language and her ability to communicate. So I stand in awe of Toni Morrison.
So who has influenced you the most as a writer?
Probably my readers more than anybody else, because of I have an active give and take with them, and I listen to them, and I understand them. At least I hope so. As an old lady talking to 10-year-olds, I do the best I can to talk to them. So yeah, my readers, I love them.
Favorite music when you want to unwind? You talked about music a lot. Favorite music, kind of music.
Blues.
Ooh.
Oh, I love the blues.
Me too.
I'd love to go to a club with just one of those bluesy women that sits up in the front and just growls at you. Oh yeah, I love the blues.
Yeah. What one thing that you would like to do that you have not had the opportunity to do yet?
Oh, what would I like to do? I would like to probably complete my, I don't know, memoirs. I've been writing on one of these internet things where you send them something once a week, and they ask you a question and it forces you to reflect on your life. And I've been doing that during the downtime here, and that's made me think about my life and think about what's important to me. And eventually they'll put it all together in a nice little book for me and charge me for it. But it's
They'll charge you.
of course it will, of course. But it's forcing me to think about my life as a whole, and I like that, the reflection part.
So you're thinking about doing a memoir?
No, I won't. No, I won't do a memoir. But this online thing is going to serve as that, because it's got all my memories.
Okay.
You just send them a memory a week, and
They put
eventually it gets collated into something. So it's an easy way of doing it.
That sort of answers the question that the next lightning round, which is, what book would you like to write that you haven't created yet?
I want to write a book where the main character is a boy. Most of my characters have been girls, except for the Ziggy books. And so the boys write to me and say, "Hey, lady, can you write a story with a good, strong male character?" So I want to write a really good middle grades book with a strong male character, about 11 or 12. My boys need that book.
Okay. What advice would you give to aspiring writers?
Right. And I tell, when I go to schools, back in the old days when we used to, I tell young writers to be observant, to look at things around them, to observe how many ceiling tiles are there in your bedroom. What does your kitchen smell like first thing in the morning when you get up? What is, I tell them about using the 5 senses. What does it smell like? What did the boy's underarm smell like when he came in off of the basketball court? To use as much sensory images as you can. You want to tell a good story, but the story is meaningless unless you have real good sensory images to back it up. And to learn how to do proper conversation and proper dialogue in a story. That's a skill that needs to be taught, and I don't know anybody who's teaching that. So they need to learn how to be able to have their characters communicate with each other.
Well, before we close down on this interview, can you tell people, your audience, your readers, how to get in touch with you and learn more about your work?
This has been so wonderful. I could have talked for 2 hours. My website is SharonDraper.com, real hard, just SharonDraper.com. And on there I've got thousands of pieces of information. I have study guides for every single book, and I wrote the study guides. These are not written by, some company that, that markets them. These were written by me. So I have study guides for teachers for every single book. I've got analysis, I've got history, I've got background, I've got biography. If you're a young person and you have to do an author project, everything is already there for you. Just click and find and pull it off. And so I tried to make the website really, really user-friendly so that young people can, or adults, anybody who's looking, can find what they need. So there's a vast amount of material there at SharonDraper.com. So,
now, why don't you share some parting advice for parents of young readers, particularly during this period of time when kids are at home because of shelter in place?
My biggest advice to parents is to not give them a book and sit them down and say, go read for 30 minutes, but to sit down with them, curl up on the couch together and read with them, read to them. They need to hear your voice. They need to hear you say the words. If you don't want to read a whole lot, you read a page and let them read a page. And then talk about what you read. Okay, what did you think about that? Oh my goodness, I didn't see that coming. Conversation with your children. This is a wonderful time to share books with your students. You can find thousands and thousands and thousands of books that are available at your disposal. So read to your students, read with, to your children, read with your children. Make it an interactive experience, and they will never, ever forget that. They will never forget the fact that mom sat down and read with me while we were home.
Great advice.
This has been exciting, Sharon. It's wonderful conversation. Yeah. We would like to thank you for this opportunity to chat with you. And we would like to thank our viewers for tuning in. This is a series that we will be doing on an ongoing basis, Just Us Books, and where we have an opportunity to chat with wonderful, great writers like Sharon Draper and also others who are involved in getting books into the hands of readers. We want to thank you again, and to all our listeners, we are Wade and Cheryl Hudson, and remember, good books make a difference.
Thank you.
Oh, this was just wonderful.